In this video, we're going to talk about some browser tools you can use to help you detect coding errors. Like usual, the first thing we're going to do is take a look at the rendered page and see if there are any problems. So far, so good. Okay, so we've run into an issue here. We're missing some of our formatting to create our background and our reduced width and those kinds of things. So here there's definitely an issue in that, and it's applying to this section all about the lists and about the tables. Let's focus in a little bit more on this browser view. And let me just show you a tool that you've got. If you go ahead and bring up your contextual menu with your browser, and usually you can just do that with a right click, but whatever way you use to bring up a contextual menu, you'll see you've got a couple of tools down here: View Page Source and Inspect. View Page Source we've used before, and that just gives us the code view in the back end, and that's exactly like the code we would see on our notepad. But we want to use this tool, this other tool called the Inspector, and I'll just show you how that works. So the Inspector actually shows you all of the cascading styles that are applying to specific elements on the page. So for example, here, if we take a look at and highlight the header, when I scroll over it, how it highlights it, down here, we can take a look at all of the CSS style that's applying to that, and it even tells us about style that's inherited from other things. So for example, here it's saying it has this particular font because that element has been inherited from this being part of the body. It has this height and background color and all of these attributes because it's applied directly to the header itself. So we can view it actually without a specific attribute. If you take a look, well, here, I'll undo the height because that'll be easier to see. So if I get rid of the height CSS element, it shows how this would look without that style applied. So it's a really nice flexible tool that can actually give you a sense even of, allow you to try out some things and see how things would look with and without styles. So it can even help in terms of your design. But for our purposes, we want to see what's going on with the coding. So here's the article, and in our typical article, this is what we should see. We should see all of this styling applied, and that's what gives us, for example, our background color, gives us the different margins, and notice what happens when we get rid of our margin left, margin right. Okay, gives us our padding around the side and the top. Right, so all of those things, and then the width, of course. Okay, so that's what should be happening in an article. It should also have this inherited style from the body. That's what we should typically see. We see that happens in this article, right? This article, but in this one, so here's this last one, we don't see any of that. None of those styles are being applied. And if you take a look up here, right? And it has all of our sections, our footer and everything. But if you take a look up here, we've misspelled article. That's what we need to fix in our code. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to our code page. And now we should be able to identify that pretty easily. We know exactly where we want to go. Pardon my quick scrolling. We want to get down to where our ordered and unordered lists are, and here it is, article. We put our I back in here and just make sure we've got the end tag spelled correctly. Yeah, the end tag looks okay. Okay, and so if we go ahead and save that, come on back over here and we can reload that, and look, that makes all the difference in the world. And now when we take a look at the inspector, we see that our CSS is being applied to this one just as we were hoping. That's an example of using the inspector tool in your browser to help you find errors in your code. And as you can see, that inspector tool is really helpful. It even can help you with design, allowing you to see what your code looks like with different style codes applied.